All right, welcome to Fic Night. This month we're reading Marry Me by Rogue Slytherin, who is live with us. Uh, this story is a Harry Potter fan fiction set in Next Generation. I'm going to read the summary just so you know what we're getting into. It has a beautiful banner. Who made this? Matcha? A short.
Gorgeous.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
I
I
was
was just
saying
saying,
gorgeous.
yeah.
Great.
A short and sweet one shot of Rose Granger Weasley's wedding day, complete with a sappy plot twist. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. All right, this is a Scorpius and Rose story. So awesome. Going to read this. You still have time. You can still get out of this. The thought barely finishes as I continue adjusting my cufflinks. Finding it harder and harder to catch my breath, I pull at the tie around my neck and let it dangle there, partially untucked from under its place behind my vest. Then I rest my hands on the ledge and stare at the pair of gray eyes in the mirror before me. They plead with me to pull myself together. They urge me to take a deep breath and do the right thing. And they're right. I am better than this. I don't need to run. I just need to see her. That would put it all back into perspective. One glance at her smile, and I would be content. Finding solace in the fact that the day wasn't about me, I stand back to my full height and start to maneuver the fabric so that it once again wraps around my collar before tucking it back into place. There you are, Albus pokes his head around the corner. We're to start any minute now. I thought for sure you were making a run for it. The thought did cross my mind, I mutter before double checking that I have my cufflinks on correctly. Whoa, okay, I was just taking the piss. He holds his hands out as if to stop me from physically trying to pass him, even though I'm not making any such attempt. Here. He pulls out a flask from inside his jacket, and I silently scold myself for not thinking far enough ahead to have my own. The whiskey burns down my throat, but it does manage to calm my nerves a bit. She'd spent too many days dreaming of this day, too many hours poring over magnolias and peonies. I'm determined to make sure that this day for her is absolutely perfect. We couldn't have been more than 8 the first time she described her wedding day to me. She was adamant about having it in the country somewhere, away from the noise of London, she'd said. And what if your intended disagrees? Doesn't he get a say? She giggled at the thought. Weddings aren't about the boy, Scorpius. Nothing annoyed Albus more than how well I got on with his cousin, but no amount of teasing could have kept me away from her. It seemed the moment we'd met, we could never be parted from one another. Then again, being kids in love is different than young adults with choices to make, with the reality of forever actually before you. Let's do this then. I take another gulp of liquor before leaving the flask on the ledge and rounding the corner. I think I know where I'm going, but the hall is a maze of corridors. Finally, I find the door to the chapel foyer. Wait, that's not. But before his warning can be useful, I discover that the door did not lead to the chapel on my own. Instead of an empty lobby, I am met by 4 women in matching chiffon dresses gasping in my direction. Scorpius? I'm not sure how to take the surprise in her voice. Obviously, I'm not supposed to be here, but I can almost swear I hear a note of relief in her tone. Then again, once I catch sight of her, her tone is far from my mind. Before her alarm, she'd been slowly swaying, smiling at the way the fabric seemed to float in the self-created breeze. Lace, white, maybe ivory, but definitely flowy. I need to be able to twirl. We were 17 again, talking about this day like it was an inevitability. She held my hand above her head before spinning in circles to emphasize her point. You're so beautiful, Rose. I'd spoken those words to her so many times before, but we both knew, our eyes meeting in the mirror, in the mirror she stood before, that this moment was different. I want to say so much more to her, more sentences I'd said before without fully understanding their gravity, but I don't know. I know how, but I don't. I know how long she's waited for this day. I know how much she wants to get married. And no matter how much it hurts to remind myself, she isn't getting married to me. So instead, I swallow the words, I swallow my feelings. I let Lily wave us out of the room, chastising Albus for not being with the rest of the groomsmen. I follow Albus to the correct door and take a seat in the back of the chapel while he makes his way to the line of sharply dressed men standing at the altar. I pick a spot on the floor to stare at instead of meeting anyone's eye. And then I hear a low bickering with someone else over the flower placement on his lapel. Hoping it will distract me from my panic, I lean back in the pew and see out the crack of the two doors and try to place the voices. It's as bad a mistake as showing up in the first place. Her parents are tittering back and forth as they always had done. Isn't that a bit odd, a bit old fashioned, though, having him give you away like they're transferring property? Quit ruining hundreds of years of tradition. You're just picking on it because you didn't think my father would actually let go. You've seen the way he looks at me at dinner, love. Our luck, he'd walk you down the aisle and then break into a full sprint until he'd torn you far enough away to finally separate us. The symbolism of that tradition is more than I can reconcile in my state. Ron wouldn't be the only man giving her away today. It's all too much. It's a mistake. Leaving, coming back, accepting the invitation, showing up this afternoon. So many chances to get things right at every opportunity, and somehow I managed to travel the wrong path. Before I can argue myself back into the pew, I'm in the foyer, pushing past her parents, and then I'm back into the maze of corridors and alcoves, twisting and turning until I find a way out to the gardens. And in the end, I take refuge on on a marble bench tucked behind the tallest hedge I can spot, pushing the trying to push the melodies from strings and pianos out of my mind, trying to persuade myself to believe that if she was able to move on and to find love again, that I can too, attempting to convince myself that she isn't standing in front of me, her tears welling up, pulling at her mascara, but there she stood. Turns out the wedding is all about the boy. The end. Oh my God!
Yay! That was my exact reaction. Oh, Jacqueline, it's so beautiful, but also why would you hurt us like this? I'm a real big fan of your writing, and it's just so beautiful and reads so naturally. And this one in particular, you pack so much into such a tiny amount of words. It's absolutely amazing, and I really love the double twist of first, oh my God, she's not getting married to Scorpius. You should have seen me reading this. I think my jaw literally dropped because I was getting ready for some fluffy, sappy story, and then it wasn't him. And then of course the twist at the end, absolutely amazing. And I saw in one of your review responses that this story had been inspired by a particular song.
Yes.
What made you think of Rose and Scorpius when you heard that song?
Most things make me think of that couple because they're just doomed tragic in the best way. So I just love that ship for that reason. So yeah, I was like, oh, there's going to be a couple that belongs together but isn't together. It's got to be those two.
So one of my questions was going to be as well, what is it about them as a ship that you really love? Is it the fact that they won't really be together, or that how do you see them?
Yeah, I think I've said one time in a writer journal question that I love them because they don't make any sense when you just stop, just on the bare surface. The whole ship kind of comes from that epilogue, right? And that really gentle softball that we get thrown. But if you think about who their parents are and how they're raised, which is why I love Next Gen, because you kind of get to play in that sandbox of how these people turn out. They don't make any sense together. Like they just don't fundamentally. And so I love, but then that like opposites attract thing comes in. And so you can see how they could have this really like, I always call it's just like it's a doomed tragic romance that I like obsessed with reading. So I always write it so I can read it.
Yeah, that is something that I absolutely love as well, which makes me want to ask, have you got anything else on your page like that? Is this
I've
something you
got
write a lot?
so many. Yes.
Excellent. Okay, I know what I'm doing when we finish here. What do you imagine happens after this story?
Well, it's not just like happily ever after.
Of course.
It would be, I think they would give it another go. I think they might even like make it work, but it's not the like, I think what I love about the idea of them is they show the idea of a relationship as being work and not just like fluff and sappy. And like you have sappy moments and it's a beautiful thing, but like you got to put work in because people are annoying.
Yeah, it's definitely realistic, and I feel like you really write them that way as well. Like I really loved the bit where Scorpius is thinking back on her, childhood dreams of this big fancy wedding, but as young adults that they've got a completely different reality.
Yeah.
It was absolutely beautiful. That's all the story related questions that I have. I'd like to ask what you're writing next, unless Rose has anything about the story.
I guess, who was she planning to marry? Does it matter? Did you plan that out?
That didn't matter at this point. I didn't even think about why they weren't together. Like the details of it didn't matter so much. I think I really enjoy one shots for that because you can just get to like you can say a truth without having to say a lot of details, if that makes sense. And so that's kind of what I do is I'll write a lot of words and then I kind of boil it down to like what's necessary. And that wasn't necessary for this story. So I just kind of like whoever, whatever, whenever, why ever. I don't know. He left, he came back, he regrets it. That's what's important.
I like that he suffered.
Yeah, I was gonna leave it real sad at the end, but then I was like, no, come on. You gotta bring it back. You gotta do the double twist.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect the double twist.
I love a plot twist. The only thing better than a plot twist is a double twist.
I love that. And it sounds like you really wrote that on the fly. Is that true?
Yeah, I think I wrote this one in one sitting. And then went back and like I polished it a little bit, but this one kind of just came out of me after listening to that song a few times because it's called Marry Me by Thomas Rhett. So it's a country song. I don't know if anybody out there likes country, but I live in the South, so I love me some country. And I mean, the song does the same thing the story does. It's describing this beautiful wedding, and then you get to the chorus, and it's like, but she doesn't want to marry me, and you're just like gutted. You're like, wait, what? But it's so pretty. And so I just thought of how heartbreaking that is. Definitely. But also, like, don't invite your ex to your wedding, you guys. That's my advice for life. Like, don't do it. It never ends well. No one's comfortable. Just don't do it.
Oh my God.
Or arguably, she invited him so that he wouldn't be her ex anymore.
I mean, there's a point to be had. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is that how you usually write? Like with a lot of music?
Yes, but it's not typically as pointed as that. But I definitely need to listen to something or else I'm like, I need to be distracted enough from my own like attention span, if that makes any sense. So I like to have music going just as like something else happening to like focus my thoughts enough to like get them onto the page. Otherwise I'm just like, I'm on Twitter. I'm on like, I'm just on everything. I'm on like 15 different windows and I'm like, oh, that's right. I was writing.
I kind of have to do that too, where I have to have the right music to write.
Yeah, it was really helpful. Something I've just I don't remember what I called it. It's like my memory right now. A valediction when I was writing the bits with Regulus. and it was this kind of like First War story, and it was really dark and moody. I had a playlist going that was like dark love songs or something from Spotify that was A, amazing music, and B, like so set the tone for that kind of writing.
Those Spotify playlists are amazing.
Yeah, they're on point, man. They're not messing around.
Oh my God, I know. I listen to a lot of music when I'm writing as well, so I totally feel you there.
Yeah.
Right, well, I guess what's left to ask is, what are you currently working on? Like, how's Nano going? What can we expect from you next?
Oh my gosh, Nano's been miserable for all. I mean, honestly, it was just the election. The election made me like, I couldn't write a single thing, but that's slowly making a turn. So I've also just had school stuff distracting me. So I don't think I wrote for like 3 weeks. But I just wrote like 2 whole chapters the other day, like knocked them out. So that was awesome. So I'm on a story right now called Swear to Be Overdramatic, which comes from a Taylor Swift lyric, because almost all my titles are song lyrics. And that's my Nano project. And I'm hoping to have another 4 chapters up. That was the goal, was to have another 4 chapters up before December. I'm thinking I might get 2 more. So we'll get almost to the goal.
Hey, you still got a week? You can do it. This is fine.
There we go. And it's a holiday week in America, so I could take this time. We got this.
Excellent. Yay, well, that's really exciting. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add about the story or in general?
Nope. I'm just really glad that everyone liked my story enough to want to hear it and talk about it. This was a really fun one. It was a really quick, like, it was an idea. I put it on paper. It happened. And then I was like, that was cute. And I just kind of moved on. I think it was one of maybe the first ones I put on the archive even. So it was an oldie but a goodie.
Sometimes those ones that you just bang out end up being great.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, I feel like generally that's how I write though. Like I am terrible at getting it on the page unless I just do it like in a stretch. And then I'll spend like, days re-editing and retooling when I'm doing like a longer piece. Like I can edit till nobody's business. I think why I did my Nano project as chapters instead of the word count, because I mean, things like this, like I like to be very concise. And so like, I don't write long stories. And when I do, they're still not like, I don't know, they're still not all that long for me. And so I'm like, word count's not going to finish a story out for me. So we'll go with chapters.
That's legit.
Very good plan. And then you feel like you finish something every now and then. These little wins. It's a good way to do it.
Yep. Good stuff.
Well, I think I would be remiss not to wish Ms. Victoria Ann a happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. Spending it reading fan fiction, it's perfect.
What a good birthday.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I think with that, I think we covered all of our bases for this month's.
What is time?
Time means nothing anymore.
So I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you.